continues. It's the middle school edition of Top Gun 2014, just outside of the Ohio capital of Columbus, Dublin, Ohio, Jerome High School for this athlete showcase, 7-on-7s to start day 2 as the graduated 6th, 7th, and 8th graders going on to 7th, 8th, and 9th continue their day. Hi, everyone. I'm Neil Sika. He is Gary Howard, who's the Vice President and General Manager of Exos Digital, one of our great partners helping to provide our live coverage here today on footballuniversity.org. Gary, good to see you. It's been a fun week of camp. First the high school edition and now the middle school kids.
Yeah, Neil, thanks for having us. It has been fantastic. What's great about the middle school edition is that these kids are so eager to learn, and this is one of the best camps in the country that we've ever seen. With the lineup of the coaching staff that they had, the kids really get to develop, they get to work on their skills, and as they come back each year, it's great to see them progress.
You mentioned Football University, the skills, the coaching speaks for itself. Tell me a little bit about how this partnership has come about. We've got Geiska Crowley who's joined us, Dan Thompson, some of your head scouts from across the country, but this is really a neat personal connection for you and how Football University came into play.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, Exos Digital, we've always been known in the college market and in the professional market for our equipment. And a little story behind how Exos became the top scouting company in the industry is that Exos developed a software that would help the colleges that use their equipment to follow recruits and to make it easier to use one system to do both. Their in-house stuff that they do day-to-day for their game preparation, their practices, their film exchange, and said, how do we add the recruiting piece to that? So then once they developed the software, the colleges had said, hey, well, this software is great, and it's really going to help us in recruiting, but you got to get with all the people that we use across the country and have them ingest the data, the media, all the evaluations on actual scouting into your software. And so Exos said, well, who are those guys that you get this stuff from? And the same names kept coming up. And so Exos decided to go after a plan to acquire those people, hire the top people, and over the last few years has developed the top scouting company used by the universities in the nation.
Yeah, it's been a great partnership so far. And if I look at your website, it's very pragmatic and simple, but if someone is looking for a potential star, whether it be high school, even maybe down to the middle school level, you can pull up their film, their page, you can have access to their social media. It's all right there, a nucleus, an epicenter for what you're looking for.
Right, because you want to make sure that the college who's our client has the chance to go to one spot, make it easier for them, and then a lot of them use data management systems that from our system can merge all that information. Then it goes to their iPad, it goes to wherever they need it, and so going after everything to put it in one spot has been a goal of ours for a couple of years.
Gary Howard, who is the Vice President and General Manager of Exos, as we're getting a look at this second session, but the first 7-on-7 of the middle school camp out on the field here at Jerome High School. It's a little bit warmer outside today, but a slight breeze that has come into Central Ohio. You're a football guy. You were a coach. You watched this camp from start to finish. What's impressed you the most?
Well, I think that when you look at last week when we were here with the high school kids, they are so driven to try and get better and to try and really they want to have an opportunity to continue to play football, whether it's on the team that they're currently on or whether they can have the opportunity to play after high school. And I think that what has impressed me is the staff. I mean, I grew up watching a lot of these guys play and a lot of these guys coach. And as we've gone around to the different camps as we're covering these athletes, and then we were introduced to FBU, I don't think a lot of people understood the power of FBU. But once you go and you see that it is the best teaching and training camp you can ever possibly go to, which was one of the reasons why we decided that we wanted to be part of this family. And then for us to be part of the Army Game All-Selection Committee and for the selection committee for the underclassmen Army Combine, it was just a natural fit for us. So the teaching that goes on has been phenomenal. And you have a player who could be a freshman who may just be starting football, and he's going to get the proper teaching for what he needs. And then you have a rising junior who's a really good player and is going to be a national recruit. He can then get the same, the teaching that will match to his skill level. And the coaches, these guys are out here because they love it, and it's really great to see. And the organization that FBU has in running a camp has been phenomenal. We've got 7 football fields, Neil, that are out here.
And you see a lot of camps, too,
yeah, and this is facilities great. in Dublin, Ohio, but the way it's run, and it's very organized, and it has been, probably the most impressive thing is to see how Top Gun has started, and it hasn't missed a beat all the way through both sessions.
Everyone knows the camp has the best skill, NFL and college level instruction. Routes on Air continuing the warm-up prior to 7-on-7. There are almost 200 more kids at this middle school camp. Some of the players mainly identified through the regional camps of Football University, 33 throughout the year. But some have been discovered in other means of the Football University brand. The FBU National Championship has become very popular. It's entering its 4th year. And there's some individuals who played on 6th or 7th grade teams through tryout that were discovered. Also the East Bay Youth All-American game featuring and those kids hoping to someday make it to the U.S. Army All-American Bowl. I have to give you credit. I was pretty impressed with you up on stage. You talk about all the skill, but the pomp and circumstance that goes with the opening ceremonies and the orientation, you were handling it with aplomb, Gary, just as I expected you would.
Well, I appreciate that. I think maybe that's a coach side of you. When you get up in front of the kids and you're trying to get them motivated, and then that's really, with the bright lights of the stage, that's really what you're looking at, is you see the kids in the front, and they want to.
And don't fall.
Yeah, and don't fall, right. Because they did have a little bit of that earlier in the week, but everybody turned out okay. But yeah, it's, the parents, they're sitting all on the side in the bleachers, and the kids are all on the floor in the gym. And this week there was standing room only. It was first come, first serve. They wanted to hear the messages from the different sponsors and hear the different speakers that we've had. It's been a phenomenal week, but just talking to the kids is really, I think, what we enjoy, working with the kids, and the middle school kids are fantastic. Yesterday, we saw some kids that are here that really don't know how good they are because they're so young.
Yeah.
And we had our scouts out here, and they said, "Did you see that kid?" And some of these kids, they don't know it. Maybe we shouldn't tell them because we don't want them to get all blown up. But some of the kids here at this camp are as good as the kids that were at last week's camp, and they're young, so it's going to be exciting to follow them. But yeah, the ceremonies have been great, and like I said, they do such a phenomenal job here. Anybody who comes to an event, that Top Gun or a Top Gun event or an FBU regional camp, they're going to be part of the FBU family for life, I think.
He's Gary Howard, who is the Vice President General Manager of Exos Digital. And our partner here on these live webcasts. You saw the high school edition Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Our final live stream here on footballuniversity.org to take a look at the 7-on-7s for the middle school kids. And you were just making the point. Some of these kids don't know how good they are, and I venture to guess half of them haven't even grown into their bodies. So even making those projections of where they may play at their prep level or even beyond that is part of the fun.
Right. In fact, you'll probably see a lot of kids that, as they get older, won't even be playing the positions they're playing right now. I mean, there were a couple kids yesterday that we saw, and we talked to this one boy, and we said, what position are you? He says, I'm a running back. Well, he's a perfect H-back, really, is what he is. He's got good size, good mobility, and some of the scouts thought, he may move over to being a linebacker, depending on how he develops, but he was a big kid. And it's not something that we see as a running back these days, but he's probably the best guy on his team. He's probably the most athletic, and they want to score points, so they're putting him at running back, and they're doing the best they can to move the ball. So you'll see that as you come along. Some guys will start out at receiver and then get moved to defensive back if they have size limitations and things. And then you see the quarterbacks who are really raw, and they're learning some great mechanics out here. You tell a kid that has no bad habits yet, on a few adjustments he can make, and he makes instant improvement. And we saw that yesterday with some of the coaches teaching the kids some things. So, but you're right. It's they're going to change so much. They're going to grow so much. And people, I think, when they're looking at attending or scouts attending a youth event like this, it's really not to scout them. It's really to take a look at them, see who will be the future, and then just keep an eye as they get into high school. And then they start to develop. You'll see people that are just men against boys, and those are the kids that will shine early. Those are the ones that the colleges are going to try and build a relationship with, so that when it does come time to offer a player, that that they've made contact with them, because they don't want to be the last one to the party.
Yeah.
And so we'll see these kids over the next few years, and we may see guys we don't recognize the next year, and he'll remind us, hey, remember me? And we'll say, well, you don't even look like the same kid.
Gary Howard joining us for the first portion of this 7-on-7. The action is on the field now as we're starting with these 2 30-minute sessions over the next hour. And glad to have you aboard on footballuniversity.org. Gary will stick around for a couple more minutes. We're going to be joined a little bit later on by next one's Alan Papadines, and he'll have insight on some of the kids that he's looked at for the classes of, hard to believe, 2018, 2019, 2020.
2020.
Yeah. Before we let you go, Gary, I know there's a special connection for you with Football University and just the conjunction of the U.S. Army All-American Bowl. Your father, your late father, who's buried at Arlington National Cemetery,
yes,
a serviceman, did this country proud, and that's a special thing for you to say that affiliation and see it here, because that impact that the Army has had on all these young athletes, whether they've played in the bowl game or not, is a phenomenal relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, when I first had a chance to go to my first Army game, which was probably 4 or 5 years ago, it touches your heart, because I did grow up with a father who was in the military, and it's what everybody looks for, great players. But to be part of the Army game is a real special thing, that if you're invited and you're coming to it, that the Army Selection Committee knows that you're a great person as well. And that's what they would prefer to have, as a great athlete and a great person. And a lot of things they'll see during the week are going to be things that are going to help them in life. Not everybody's going to play football forever, and it could end at any time. And those are the things that we really liked about the event, and as I got to know Rich McGinnis and Doug Berman, who really are the developers of the Army game, I knew that if there was a way somehow to be affiliated with it, we would be honored and be proud, and we definitely are.
No, we're glad you're here, and your crew has done a great job. Your scouts here, not only on the stream, but keeping an eye on things. And keep up the great work. Thanks for stopping by. All the best. Gary Howard, who's the executive Vice President and General Manager of Exos Digital. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me, man. Great job as always.
Alan Papadines coming up shortly as you're watching the action here in the 7-on-7s. And we are underway. The D defense, they're classified by 4 groups, mentioning the number of participants at this middle school camp. It's a little bit larger than the high school edition. And the B offense getting a crack here on this main field. Kelt Stadium, new field turf in place this year. Of course, there are 7 or 8 fields with the grades of 2019 and 2020. It's hard to believe, as I say, and welcome our friend Pops, Alan Papadines, to the fray, that we're talking about kids who are going into their 7th and 8th grade year, but that's your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And there are some pretty darn good football players. Good to see you, my friend.
Neil, how are we today? Another beautiful day here in Dublin, man.
Yeah, that's right. We want to welcome you Jersey guys appropriately. So
appreciate
the
that.
weather has held up pretty well.
Bada bing.
Yeah, this week. We're watching some of the stars of tomorrow, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got some talent on display from all over the country. New Jersey to California to Maryland to Florida, so a bunch of states that, you wouldn't think maybe football talent comes from, but there's, some New England kids, but they're here too, and they're all balling out today, which is really great.
Well, the action, we've seen a few kids get moved up, but the orange jersey classification is your 2018 class.
Yeah. During this camp, I've been watching the 7th graders, which are the green jerseys, and if you see number 372 out there, Cameron Coleman, East Bay Youth All-American last year, brought up to the 8th grade, and from my scouts, they're telling me that he's just been ripping up the 8th grade defensive back, so that tells you the talent he has.
He hooked up with Gunnar Falk, who's one of the top quarterbacks that has been recognized in this camp, and we should point out they've graduated from 6th grade, 7th, and 8th, so we've got high school freshmen, 8th graders, and 7th graders, and it's fun for us because we've been working in conjunction, the FBU National Championship. We've seen a lot of these faces for the first time playing for all-star teams that made pretty successful runs to San Antonio. Now, we were talking about a couple of now going to be 7th graders at the quarterback position yesterday. But even if you didn't go to an FBU regional champ, there are new ways to be discovered now that we're finding out here at Top Gun.
Oh, absolutely. Any way to get the kids' names out there, exposure, and FBU camps do a great job doing that for these kids.
Alan Papadines from Next One, the partnership between Generation Next and Youth One, announced yesterday. That's got to be great for you guys and your network from down to the southeast, up the East Coast, and I'm sure it's going to stretch.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you take the kings of really video work and Generation Next and the kings of web content and Youth One and put them together, and it's an unstoppable media force that we are happy to be a part of, to say the least.
A toss out there by Peyton Batterford. A lefty wearing 385. Well, in talking with Gary Howard or any of the scouts, and you being a guy who's focused in on these younger guys, you see a lot of good football players, but it's almost tough to sometimes make the projection because a lot of these kids, some are big, but some are still growing into their bodies.
Absolutely. I mean, it's scary when I'm walking around the campus here and I see 7th graders with beards. 7th graders with beards. So, that kid's matured. He's got a man body already. And then there's some of these 8th graders with baby faces that while they might be big, they're only going to get bigger because they even haven't hit puberty yet. They haven't hit that stride. So it's great to see the different levels of maturity body-wise and the ability. It's a great mix and match.
I'll keep an eye on the near side of your screen. Although the ball didn't go to him, Cameron Coleman is out there. He's from the St. Louis area. The green jerseys, the upcoming 8th graders, and the white signifies those who will be in 7th grade. This is our first 7-on session for the middle school camp. What did you see yesterday that impressed you? I know, long day of orientation. There might be a little bit of nerves. You haven't been out on the field all day getting warmed up, but you want to make a quick impression. But there were some that stood out.
Absolutely. There was a bunch. And as a whole, I'd like to say that the younger group, the 6th and the 7th graders, this is their first time, most of them, coming out on this big stage. This is Top Gun. This is the 900 best athletes in the country in the middle school level. And I was pleasantly surprised and shocked that the 6th graders came out here and took command of the field. They were not overwhelmed by the experience whatsoever, and I was very impressed with the number of them. It was great.
Dylan Way had the last rep at quarterback on the near side. Last night, the opening drills, just a case of one-on-ones.
Get your feet wet. When talking with Eric Richards this morning, we were just going over some of the kids who I saw that I liked, and I was just naming a couple, and those are all 7th graders that got moved up to 8th grade. We talked about Cameron Coleman, another one, a defensive back, number 9 with green numbers. Tavion Land out of Virginia goes by Tank, and he's a defensive back and running back that's just, a special player. Here he is now coming to get some water. But he's working hard.
He's a big young man. And you were talking about beards on 7th graders. It's also, there might have been a little bit of nerves, but there's also a lot of poise for kids this age. I mean, we're talking about 12, 13-year-olds that are stepping in front of national scouts and performing under pressure, really, for the first time in their football careers. They've done it in front of their hometown fans and playing in the middle school level and soon to be high school, but this is a chance on the national stage to shine.
Yeah, we talked about it a bit during the FBU National Championship, but this is the first time a lot of these kids are away from home, which is, think about it or not, a big thing for a 11, 12, 13-year-old. And to come out here and play, I mean, that's impressive.
Alan Papadines, they call him Pops. He's our guest here on our live coverage of the 7-on-7s, footballuniversity.org, in conjunction with Exos, and Alan with Next One. So many people scout the high school kids and the next stars at the college level, but you took the niche of looking at the youth level, and you could say that's the next natural progression. But what made you identify and say, I'm going to go out, find some of the best talent at this age group in the country?
Well, if you look around the country and you look at sport as a whole, it's happening in soccer, it's happening in hockey, it's happening in baseball and basketball and baseball. Why isn't it happening in football yet? Yes, I know the body development is a big factor in football, but it's coming out here. Yeah, Seth Agwanabi is another big one. He sat at Arkansas. He was a 2017 kid, reclassified, and he's making it bigger and better as an 8th grader this year. He was a special one. I liked him a lot last year. Now coming back another year, you're stronger, bigger, faster. Look out for him.
Delivered a good throw there. Was dropped in the end.
I get back to that conversation point. You look at 8th grade.
By the way, I'm glad you mentioned soccer in that.
Oh, there you go.
But that's been something in the European system, the academies.
Exactly.
They started 10, 11 years old,
That's what
even earlier. So
hockey players
make
are going
the great
to boarding
point,
school for high school. But talk about the 8th graders and the college attention that they're receiving. Look no further than Dylan Moses. An East Bay Youth All-American Bowl alum, was given an offer by LSU as an 8th grader. Flash forward now, he's just beginning his sophomore year this summer, and he's got over 20 Division I offers.
He was the Youth Player of the Year last season. That was announced in San Antonio, and we got to see some great players, and really it's awesome to see the camaraderie of what you would essentially call an all-star game on 3 separate weekends in the winter or the late fall with the FBU National Championship, and had some really good games and a great 3rd edition, and year 4 will be even better. It's moving to Naples, and we're going to look for that coming up in just a few months. It's just around the
it'll
corner.
be here before we know it. Tryouts coming up and all that stuff. It's going to be great. And speaking about that, being from New Jersey, New Jersey's very different. Northern New Jersey is one way. Southern New Jersey is a totally different way. In fact, I almost consider Southern New Jersey Philadelphia because that's how different it is. But it's cool to see kids from Jersey City mix it up with some of the kids from Southern Jersey where it's, more farmlandish. So it's cool to see the different kids come together, their playing styles, Pop Warner versus AYF versus Unweighted. It's awesome to see.
Well, you don't have the distance of a Northern California to Southern California, but it almost feels like another world away when you're that age.
Yep.
Stepping onto the gloss, you could be facing a guy from your state or from 3,000 miles away here at FBU Top Gun, the best NFL instruction, college instruction. These coaches have been versed not only in the coaching game, but as professional athletes themselves. I'm sure that catches your eye. It's not lost on you as a scout to know the instruction they're getting is only going to make them better football players. It's going to help your projections for where they go.
You can tell who has been to an FBU camp and who has not. And I'm not just saying that as a plug. I'm saying because the fundamentals that they learn from these guys who have been there, they made it to the top level you can make it to in professional, in football in general. And you can tell the kids who, have a crooked throw motion or mess with the weight on their foot the right way. And you can tell with the kids who just kind of look funky out there.
We call them Pops, Alan Papadines from the next one, U Scout. Keeping an eye on some of the nation's up-and-coming middle school players. What's on your agenda for today? What are you keeping an eye on or a lookout for?
Well, before I came up here and joined you, I was watching the 7th grade linebackers. Just getting my feet wet with them because, you can only watch a couple reps. You got to make them count. So you got to be able to watch the kids and really zero in on some fundamental things that hopefully they carry on to the bigger things, 7-on-7s and 1-on-1s.
Well, that's an interesting point you make. The linebackers in these drills, that is almost becoming one of the toughest positions in college football because of the evolutions of the passing games and the spread offenses. It's not just put on the neck roll, line up and get into the top 7
anymore.
And make the tackle. You've got to be able to defend. You've got to be quick in the flat and cover some of these speedy receivers, these hybrid guys out of the backfield.
And that's what this camp does. It doesn't give – linebackers aren't going to go and hit and tackle at this camp. They're going to work on their footwork. They're going to work on their hips. They're going to be dropping back in coverage, like you said, covering the flat. And camps like this give linebackers that opportunity to improve in the facets of their game that football in general is heading. The more spread offense, the faster wide receivers, faster running backs.
He's Alan Papadines to the next one. Neil Sika. We're taking a water break for this 7-on-7 session. It's the middle school camp, FBU Top Gun, and getting some insight to maybe the prep stars of tomorrow, the college stars of tomorrow. We've seen some great athleticism out there already today on a day we expect will be the most football-laden of the three. I mean, when you're really breaking it down, this is the end of the summer camp season. Kids are tired. They're looking forward to starting their seasons with their teams respectively, but this is the last real chance they have to show before next summer or even in their games.
Yeah, and not to sound cliche at all, but this is where you put in the work. You know what I mean? This is where you put in all the work in the summer when no one's watching, when the lights aren't on the field. This is where you get better. And during your regular season is where you showcase that. But right now is where you put the nuts and the bolts into your game.
All right, back out to the action, where they've moved it into the 20-yard line, so a little red zone work for our 7-on-7 participants. You really have to do a double take sometimes. The high school camp, you're talking close to 700 kids. This is about 200 more.
Yeah, it is.
And that's hard for you because I know you're on the phone constantly making calls.
Absolutely. It's checking on this kid, checking on that kid. Oh, did you see that pass? No, I didn't. I was on the phone. I apologize.
Alan Papadine is going to spend a few more minutes with us. And then Geiska Crowley from Exos Digital will take us on home for the remainder of this live coverage on footballuniversity.org. We have end-to-end, not only the best coaching instruction at the camp and the best prep stars, that's a good throw over the top and catch. But from our analysts and our scouts, you're not going to get any better information out across the land.
Here we got Cradieth again to the short side. Again, sorry if my prejudice towards the 7th graders here, but they're my guys this year, so I got to watch them here. Moved up against the 8th graders.
Well, Cameron Coleman, he's on the near side of that neon jersey.
Nice move. Didn't get the ball, though.
But on the other side, there's some talent, too. That's a tough situation for the quarterbacks. They've got to make quick reads.
Yeah. And that's what's going to help them. This is all part of the game. This is how it changes. Faster passing. If people wonder how rookies come into the NFL and can start right away, it's because they've been doing 7-on-7s and stuff like this since they were 12 years old. Or they're reading defenses at a much younger age as opposed to run to the tree and I'll throw it to you.
Well, this is the meat and potatoes tournament, would you say, of the summer. All these kids,
absolutely,
whether they're with their regular teams, they enter competitions in some of the bigger states. I know Texas, California have 7-on-7 state champs, and then they get versed in that on the camp season too.
Absolutely.
Well, Dylan Way, another rep for him at the quarterback position. Well, you're a busy man, my friend, and you've got your army of talent out here. The partnership, again, is next one, and doing fine work. We'll be looking for that, but where can we find you more in depth?
Let's see. I'm all over Facebook. It's Scout Al Pops. Y1gennext.com is the site dedicated to Top Gun, where we're going to be putting all our content out there, videos, interviews, pictures, everything you could possibly want from this camp is going to be right there. Be sure to check it out. I know it's not easy for mom, dad, grandma to travel to Ohio. For the people that did, wonderful. But for family members and friends everywhere, check it out because we're covering these athletes.
Alan Papadines joining us here, footballuniversity.org. He's with Next One. Great job, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Sounds great.
Back to work. He's going to find some of the top middle school prospects in the country, and going to work our way down eventually to the other end of the field, and Geiska Crowley will be joining us from Exos, as he's been keeping a look on some of these top middle schoolers in the country. Graduated from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. As we take you to the top of the hour on a warm and sunny day. As July winds down the camp season, NFL training camps getting going next week. Football is filling the air, and we've got it for you here on FBU Top Gun 2014. It's the second edition. The week is broken up. We've had the high school stars, now the middle school talent, and really our star over the last 5 days has been Geiska Crowley from Exos, Tallahassee, Florida man, but scout to the Midwest for Exos. Good to see you, my friend.
Great seeing you again, Neil.
Back in action we go, and as Gary and Alan before you have commented, this is a fun group to look at because of the projections of where they can go and the raw athleticism they possess now.
It is, Neil. It's a little. Someone turned the heat up a little bit today. You know, it's a high 91 we saw.
You're used to this.
Yeah, us Southern guys. But it's great. It's great. You know, there are more kids at this youth camp done by FBU than there was at the high school camp, which just shows the tracking that FBU has. It shows what a great job that their regional guys do, getting the regional camps hyped up, getting these young kids to Top Gun. So to see a bigger amount at the youth than the high school is a great sign for Exos Digital. It's a great sign for FBU Top Gun and the whole organization. But there are a lot of prospects here. You know, you think to yourself, 6th, 7th, 8th graders, you know, are they going to be able to run routes? Are they going to be able to throw the football? But you come down here and you see some of these quarterbacks spin it, and you say, man, these kids can play on the varsity level coming up in August.
I'm going to unveil a little secret. When I was young, I would dream about a junior NFL being 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, that type of a level. But we're actually kind of seeing that come to fruition here. Over the last several years, FBU Top Gun and these FBU camps, and my goodness, to see some of these now going to be 7th graders that have high school, college bodies already, it's quite frightening, but quite exciting if you're into the recruiting scene and what they're going to project to be for the next stars of tomorrow.
It is, especially some of those linemen. You walk around, you know, you're seeing a couple 6'2", 6'3" young guys with beards and mustaches. You know, it's fun to see.
You're the second guy to make the facial hair comment, but it's true. It's very true.
But, you know, and the recruiting aspect, you know, we run a completely free recruiting site. It's free to high school coaches, players, and parents. You know, our clients are the colleges, so that's who we service. But so we're really in depth of recruiting on that side. With the youth side, we're out here evaluating. We're out here making some watch lists. But it's more just watching the kids have fun at this point. You know, we're writing down a couple numbers, introducing ourselves, you know, passing out a couple business cards. But at the same time, with the youth kids, it's about developing the skills. You know, last week with the NFL coaches out here for the Top Gun event, it was about honing the skills. Now it's about developing the skills for the young guys, and that's what we're seeing today.
Take me through day one of your middle school camp yesterday. I know a lot of orientation, meet and greet, the action, seeing the kids loosen up late in the day. But a typical day for you at one of these camps. We've had your analysis while you've come on here and been so gracious to join us. But you and your army of scouts under Gary, and you talk about Dan Thompson and Jeff Martin and all these guys that have come up. Talk us through a typical day in the process of what goes into what you're looking for, and then I'm sure you reconvene at night and make lists.
Absolutely, we do. You know, we got a bunch of guys. Terrence Larman handles our Louisiana, our Texas. Randy Nyes, our Texas guy. Jeff Martin, who you mentioned, does the Southeast. J.D. Crum does a great job in the Northeast. Dan Thompson oversees our sophomore reports. Adam Froman's our West Coast guy. So, like you said, we got a great staff. Gary's done a great job of bringing in some of the top guys in the industry. But in the morning, you know, we kind of get our list organized. We'll come out here. We did registration yesterday. You know, seeing the kids, what they call in the industry, on the hoof. You know, walking through the lobby, the kids that kind of stand out. Jot down some names, talk to some parents. Came out here during the practices, and what we do is to kind of keep it standardized. Everyone will walk around and write down the kids they like. Now they don't discuss them with anybody else because we don't want to have any biased opinions on certain kids. So Jeff may write down some names, JD may write down some names, and at night we have our personnel meetings for a couple hours, and we see the kids, the numbers that are written down over and over and over, and that tells us the players that we write down over and over and over are the ones that are sticking out to the whole group. For example, an upcoming 9th grader's Nicholas Henkel. He's a quarterback from Greenwich, Connecticut, who has been on a bunch of our lists. He's lean, obviously, at this point, but he's tall. He's got a nice release, and he's got a potential to do some things at the next level.
Watching the 7-on-7s. This is our lone live session of the day from Jerome High School, about 20 minutes outside of downtown Columbus in the Northwest here in Ohio. Yulsika Geiska-Crowley with you. Well, you mentioned a name there, but you individually, what have you seen? What have you been looking at most closely, and maybe what's impressed you?
For me, Neil, I'm an offensive line guy by heart. I played at the high school level offensive line. I played at the college level offensive line and was an offensive line coach.
I'm going to give you some proper credentials.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's the linemen, and getting an eye on the big guys, seeing the young big guys that can move. They're getting NFL coaching at the 7th and the 8th grade level here at FBU Top Gun, and seeing the kids that not only move well, but the kids that will take to coaching. That's important. A player that can hear it once and do it right away on the next rep. That's something that coaches look at. That's something that's really important, is the kids that not only can do it, but then the kids who can not do it correctly, but then do it right after the correct coaching.
Watching the north end of the field, we'll move to the south, which is, I think, where running back coach Lamont Jordan and the rest of his crew want us to focus our attention, and we will. But I have to ask you, you were mentioning the linemen and their drills. It's tough because they're not in pads, so they can't crash and smash, if you will, in the trenches. It's about the footwork, the agility, and you have to have that in this day and age of the way football is played. You do. You've got to be able to move your feet. What we always say is, and we've mentioned it in a couple of the broadcasts, you got a lot of almost small forward, power forwards at the pass rushing position. So an offensive lineman, whether you're a tackle, center, or guard, or you got to be able to move your feet. Are you a waist bender or are you a knee bender? Or if you're a waist bender, you're going to bend over at the waist. It's going to push your chest and your helmet forward, and you're going to lose balance. If you're a knee bender, you can bend your knees, you keep a nice solid chest, move your feet in pass protection, and that's going to be the key, and that's the things we're looking for with the Exos digital staff. Robert Edwards is down there too. Got some great quarterback instruction. We're seeing on this end DJ Shockley, the quarterback coach down here, letting his understudies shine on the fields.
Like you spoke earlier, Coach Jordan was speaking about the running backs. It's been a really, really good group. For those not familiar with youth football, it's not as advanced quite in the passing game, so a lot of youth coaches will put their best players at quarterback. They're going to put their best players at running back. It's going to be the easiest way to get the footballs in the playmakers' hands, and we've seen a lot of really, really good young running backs. Just to name a couple, Dedrick Lewis is a 2018 from Georgia. Jalen Adams is an 18 from Delaware. Tavian Gould is an 18 from California. Isaiah Ialolo, which is the toughest name so far of the weekend.
You did well.
He's from Missouri. The list goes on and on. One of my favorites from my area is Justin Sands. He's a running back that's going to go to St. Ignatius High School in Cleveland. They've got a great staff at St. Ignatius. Draymond Jones is an outside linebacker committed to Ohio State. They've got a 2016 Liam Eichenberg will be one of the top players in the 2016 class at offensive tackle.
It's hard to argue that Cleveland St. Ignatius has probably, arguably, the richest tradition of high school football in Ohio, at least in the last 3 decades. Several state championships. Mark Logan. And we're talking about some of these familiar coaching names that if you've heard them at the NFL level, you've known them from their college days. Even a former Buckeye and Central McClellan is D getting work out there. The defensive backs, you've got Charlie Collins, and Doug Graber, Joe McCulley, Justin Miller, Ken Oxendine. Some with the linemen that you can't see on your screen, but the lists go on and on here at Top Gun 2014. We're going to work our way to the south end of the field. Geiska-Crowley is with us from Exos. He's got his eye on the Midwest. And we're taking a look at the group down here, which is the C offense against the A defense. some of the younger classes. That was the focus on the high school camp, guys. We saw a lot of the underclassmen, the sophomores and the juniors that really stood out, made names for themselves, and that's no different here with the prospects going into 7th and 8th grade.
Absolutely. And as you've got some 9th graders mixed in there as well, and that's going to be mostly our focus. We want to bulk up our underclassmen database as much as we can for the colleges. But the FBU does a great job of kind of mixing and matching the talent level. They'll bump up some kids that you may see in green jerseys, you may even see in red jerseys, which on these mostly orange fields is going to signify an underclassman, a 7th or an 8th grader. There's number 273 at tight end running across the formation. He was one of the prospects that stood out to us. I can get the name for you in just a moment. Reese Mullins is a big wide receiver tight end from Georgia. You spoke earlier about projection. He's probably about 6'2", 6'3", real lean. He may be a tight end down the line. He may be a defensive end down the line. After, years in the weight room, maybe an offensive tackle. You don't know. You don't know. But he's getting some work at tight end today.
Fred Barnett.
Big snag,
that name, and that's a
204.
great grab, too, up over the top to find Darius Krieger, and he's been pinpointed as one of the stars coming in, and you can see just his build and body and athleticism to leap up above everyone and make that grab.
He has. I actually spoke with his dad earlier yesterday, going to Forest Hills Eastern in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's playing quarterback right now for his high school team, getting some work at wide receiver. Now everyone wants to be an athlete. They don't want to be a running back. They want to play wide out. They want to play quarterback. They want to play running back.
They want a star.
They want to do everything. So Krieger's definitely a prospect to look out for. As a guy already in our database. I inputted him last night.
Yeah, and we already talked about the linebackers with Alan Papadines, the linemen. It's a tough camp for them because the prototypical role you would normally think them in, and while the game is changing, they have to adapt to that here in the camp. And even for the running backs, they have to show that athleticism to act as an H-back or tight end type or even receiver here at Top Gun.
It is. Nowadays with the amount of no-huddle offense that you see, you don't see the substitutions that you used to see. Everyone hears the term third down back. You put your big bruiser in on first down and second down, and you may put your Darren Sproles, DeAnthony Thomas type guy in third down. But nowadays with the amount of spread offense and the no huddle, you can't sub him in and out.
No.
So you got to leave the same guy on the field. He's got to most importantly hold on to the football. He's got to secondly protect the quarterback. He's got to be able to run the football. He's also got to catch the ball out of the backfield, which is skills that are being developed today. There's 89 Justin Sands from St. Ignatius again on a nice catch out of the backfield.
The Wildcats are going to love that prospect. Sands makes that reception. Krieger was out there. That's a fearsome group on the near side of the screen here as we're in the south end zone. This is 7-on-7 action. Graduated 6th, 7th, and 8th graders on to 7th, 8th, and 9th. Bringing it to you on footballuniversity.org. Neil Sika, Geiska Crowley taking you to the top of the hour or somewhere close to there. It's fun to finally see everyone in action. I think the kids, they appreciate the skills, the lessons they learn in the one-on-one and individual teaching sessions, the video sessions, which they're going to go back and have analysis on right away, which is the beauty of Football University. But then to get out there and finally perform and say, it's showtime, let me do my thing.
It is. Like you said earlier, they use our Exos Thunder, which is our video editing system that the NFL coaches will use, and treatment that a Drew Brees, a Peyton Manning would get in training camp, and the same experience here at FBU for the 7th and 8th graders, which is a great thing. And like you spoke earlier about, well, the pads aren't on. How do you know who's a player? Well, this is where you find out who the players are in the one-on-ones and the 7-on-7s in the more game-like atmosphere. You can find the prospects that shine.
We're seeing that here.
It's tough, Neil, for the defensive backs in these drills. You've got a lot of footballs going around. You've got a lot of man coverage, no pass rush, so it's difficult. But there's a 2018 defensive back, Scott Robinson. He's number 87 from Rock Hill, South Carolina. Really showing out. He's playing corner at the bottom of your screen over here in our picture. Long kid. He's still got some growing to do, but he's got the good length, which scouts and recruiters at every level are looking for at the DB position. Is a young man who's really stood out.
Yeah, they went away from his side. I think they've already identified that he's got the skill that even in a man-to-man situation you don't want to be dealing with. So
he looks the part. You know, he's got his headbands ready. He's got his wristbands. He looks the part, and he's playing well so far today.
the days of wearing primary colors during football camps are out the window, I must say.
Yeah, it was. You know, it used to just be shirt, shorts, helmet, cleats. Now it's wristbands, hats, visors, upside-down hats.
Yeah.
It's a little personal flair. It's nice to see.
Even the cornerbacks, they kind of have that Joe Cool quality about them, wearing ball caps and the bucket hats here.
And you like to see that from quarterbacks. You know, you want to see a kid's confident in himself.
Yeah.
That comes out in the huddle, that comes out at practice, and most importantly, it comes out on game day and game night. You know, you need to have confidence. You need to have a belief in yourself, and that's what a lot of these young quarterbacks have, and it's fun to see them spin it.
I think that's a great point. It's important to emphasize we're not talking about robots here. We look at these next stars as specimen and these great athletes, but they're kids who like to have fun, and we're enjoying watching them. You enjoy getting to meet them. And that's part of the profile and the build-up for what you're projecting well beyond football and into the classroom, into the social scene.
Absolutely. You know, and that's what a lot of people don't see. You know, sometimes these young men, these young athletes will get a bad rap for what fans may see on TV, but the kids here have been great. You know, yes sir, no sir. A lot of, very respectful answers, taking to coaching, paying attention. And we have a great group here at FBU, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, again, not testing that near side.
It's another guy, Gavin Sampson. He's from Keller, Texas, at quarterback, 160. Speaking of the backwards visor, he throws the ball well. Got some growing to do, got some time to do in the weight room. But it was a nice throw into the corner pylon, and nice placement, nice touch, and he did a good job.
Joe McCulley is the quarterbacks coach out here for this offensive unit. Got Mark Logan. Good reception by Ahmad Lipscomb for the score.
Here's Krieger again at the bottom of your screen, 204. Lined up. Let's see if they go to him on a slant route. Oh, drops a pass over the middle. But
open and dropped.
He did. Yeah, you thought he could make it at the second time. He's jogging back. He knew he should have had that one on the slant.
We may not see that again for another 3 or 4 years, so save the film.
Absolutely. They've got film crew's done a great job, getting all the action on all the fields.
Yeah, we've had outstanding individuals, not only with today's stream, but the high school editions. Many of your Exos colleagues, Rudy Ellis, Jeff Martin. Nobody better than AAG's Bobby Brown and William Moorfield helping out too. They are a big part of making this happen. Ben Carolyn with a lot of the shots from above that you see. I want to thank them, and thank you for watching on footballuniversity.org. Great partnerships we have here with Exos 24/7 Sports in the high school camp. Next one here for the youth edition, and this will be our final live stream of the week. So 5 to 6 days of action. And we'll have more coverage for you too, with some interviews and a wrap-up of camp. 6th edition of Top Gun, which is kind of the cream rising to the top, if you will, from the regional camps. Over 30 of them nationwide. And all secular, hoping to make a name for themselves in their football careers. The U.S. Army All-American Bowl is the ultimate goal, but many ways to reach it. The National Championship has taken center stage. The East Bay Youth All-American Bowls had Eric Richards on speaking to that. He's the National Scouting Director for the camp and the games. Joe Buffard of Football University has set the bar high on his webcast debut over the last several days.
Yeah, Joe's done a great job. He's one of those members of the AAG and FBU team you mentioned have been very hospitable to the Exos digital staff. It's a great partnership that we're real excited to be a part of.
Pass into traffic that was incomplete. Are you looking when you're maybe seeing these type of drills, the camaraderie maybe one quarterback has with another elite receiver and the chemistry they may build throughout a short period of time?
You can definitely see that, especially when you're out on the field. You know, we're behind the broadcast desk right now. Our other scouts are walking around on the field. You may see them in the broadcast. But, yeah, you know, you want to see the top wide out, and you want to see the top quarterback go against the top DBs and the top linebackers. You know, that's what you want to see. You'll definitely see the top players, like Cam Akers was one of the older guys last week who, you know, you couldn't get him to the back of the line. You know, he always stepped up, always wanted more reps, and it's no different here. You know, the kids that take charge of their huddle, you know, to see the young prospects that always go first in their drills, you know, they don't want to get pushed to the back. They want to, what they call, get an extra rep. You know, because the guy that gets first in line will almost normally always get an extra rep. And that's what we like to see. And like you see that relationship between the wideouts and the quarterbacks and the DBs and the safeties. They've got to communicate as much as the wide receivers and the quarterbacks do, you know, to make sure their coverages, to make sure they've got any switches in coverages. And they do a great job as well.
Well, they've done a really exceptional job, Eric Richards and staff, from the coaches on down, to making sure that the number of reps per participant is higher than it's ever been.
And that's
the most exposure, and you got to be quick with the pen there.
Yeah, it does.
To find out who's coming in and out.
And that's the way football's going. You know, you don't huddle anymore.
Yeah.
You know, when we spoke to it in the earlier broadcast, I think if you ask these kids to huddle, they probably wouldn't know how. They wouldn't know where to stand. They wouldn't know who to stand next to. You know, so this is the way football's going. You know, lots of reps, going fast, and that's what FBU does. That's what high schools do. That's what colleges do, and that's what the pros do. And that's exactly why we're doing it here. There's a great catch over the middle by a big tight end. You know, like you spoke earlier to the youth. You know, that's a young man who's playing tight end right now. You know, he may be a defensive tackle down the line. He may grow into an offensive lineman down the line. You know, the projection has so much time, but it's great to see the young man get a nice catch.
That was Brad Thiltgen. Some of these individuals there listed at other positions, which they most likely play during their middle school or now into their freshman year seasons, but maybe getting a look at it in a different position for the first time to see where they may hedge out in the end.
We do. There was a young man at the high school event named Cameron White. Was a big wide receiver, going to be a sophomore from Mississippi. He's got an early Mississippi State offer. We had trouble finding him. We said, "Who is that? Who is that? Who is that?" And then I spoke with his dad. He goes, "Oh, he's a running back." And you know, he's about 6'3", about 180, 170. And I go, "Oh, he's not a running back. He's definitely a wideout, but he played running back for his high school team." So it was once we got him, he's a young prospect to look out for. He's going to be a big time player.
Well, Neil Sika, Geiska Crowley. A few more minutes with you for the 7-on-7s. The middle school camp, FBU Top Gun 2014. There's a network of scouts, Geiska, that you have on Exos. Where can they find? I know you cover the Midwest, so for those out there watching, your Twitter handle, ways to get in touch down the road, because as you said, you provide this to the athlete to show to the college. So how can they find you?
The first way is www.playerondemand.com. That's where they can learn more about us, learn about our free recruiting service. They can even fill out a prospect profile if they have a young man that they feel like can play at the next level. Twitter handles Geiska, GAIZKA_XOS. And then on Facebook, Jeff Martin does a great job. It's XOS, and then it's Thunder Cloud Recruit. And we have all the pictures from the events. If you want to try to find a picture, you're a young athlete, Jeff does a great job with the pictures, and it'll be on there.
Geiska Crowley is the name. Born in Spain, how did he escape La Masia, the Barcelona academy, to move on to play football, which he did at Florida A&M, but doing a fine job with his group from Exos, and well, I think Gary Howard too. He stopped by earlier in our webcast and had some great insight on the company and his history and connection to the football university, and this is going to be a great partnership going forward, no doubt.
It is. Gary does a great job. You know, like you said, he oversees oversees all of us. He has been in the business a real long time, knows a lot of college coaches, and knows a lot of NFL coaches. We joke about all the jobs he's had in his career, and I'm not sure the broadcast is long enough to tell you about all of them, from limo driver to salesman to Safeway attendee. But he does a great job. He's a good guy.
Campers will conclude this session. They're going to have some film study, some lunch, a movie debuting a little bit later on, and 23 Blast, which has gotten rave reviews from the high school parents and coaches.
And we saw we were able to preview it last week. It's a great story and definitely motivational, football themed, but still based on a true story. It's a great movie. They did a great job with that. Number 9 is another DB, Garrett Graves, is a 2018 prospect from California, that just ran out on the field. He's doing a good job. He's got a good frame. He's in there at safety at the top. He's one of your move-ups, one of the kids that are wearing the white with the green. He's doing a good job, prospect to look out for on the West Coast.
Hard to believe football season just around the corner. And there's not a lot of downtime when this camp closes. Just a couple of weeks away from hitting the conditioning of 2-a-days and getting the fall season underway.
Yeah, we're right around the corner. Once the football season starts, all our regional scouts are going to be in the process of gathering game film, starting on player evaluations, doing player cut-ups to get them early to the college staffs. So we'll hit it pretty hard here in just a couple weeks.
Well, it begs the question for you, how much time do you spend on the road? How many games will you try and get to during the course of the season?
We have most of our team are out on the road, throughout the season. We try to get to as many games as we can. Obviously a lot of hours in the office updating our database. During the football season, it's great to see the players in person. Later in the season when playoffs come around, we hit the road a little harder, but we try to get there as much as we can. And it's good to see. There's so many great high school football programs, high school football coaches, high school football rivalries. And most of us are former high school coaches ourselves, so we love to be out there on Friday nights.
Well, we're getting close to putting a bow on it. A few more reps here in the south end zone on this 7-on-7.
Got some good camera shots down there. The quarterbacks and DBs working together. There's a big catch by 273 Reese Mullins from Georgia. We mentioned earlier.
Yeah, you mentioned him.
Big tall wide receiver prospect. Probably will grow into a tight end down the line. Has a distinct height advantage over these other players. Made a great catch.
Well, some last-minute individual instruction from coaches alike, and the campers about to conclude. They'll be back out for another 7-on-7, but for our Exos guys who have been hard at work really since the high school camp and now back into the middle school edition, I know there's flights to catch and ways to go for the upcoming 2014 football season.
Yeah, there is. We fly out early tomorrow morning. We'll be finishing our player evaluations here, the last practice today, and are looking forward to the upcoming football season.
All right, my friend. Well, great having you over the last several days with your insight and analysis. It's been fun, and we wish you the best going forward. Look forward to seeing more from your recruiting angle and down the road with Exos.
It's my pleasure. It's been a blast. It's like I said, it's an honor to be here, and we're excited to be here next year.
Jessica Crowley from Exos. He's the Midwest Scouting Director, and I want to thank again all of our great crew here who's brought you the 7-on-7 coverage, not only of the middle school camp today, but Top Gun last week with the high school stars, Alan Papadines and Gary Howard on the latest edition here from Exos. Rudy Ellis once again, Bobby Brown, Jeff Martin, and Ben Carolyn for their work here at Kelt Stadium. We'll have coverage throughout the rest of the camp on footballuniversity.org, so stay tuned to that. But thanks for watching this live coverage of 7-on-7 here at Top Gun 2014. For Geiska Crowley, I'm Neil Sika. enjoy the upcoming football season, everyone.
Do what she says.
Football University's motto is technique beats talent every day. And we believe that 100%. So when kids come here, they're going to get coached up by what we believe are some of the best coaches in North America. 22 coaches with NFL experience over 1,500 years. We're here this weekend. Jim McNally, revered as one of the best offensive line coaches in the history of the NFL. And I can go on and on and on. These kids are going to come get fundamental and technique testing. On top of that, every time they go out on the field, we're going to actually film them, take it back into the classroom, break it down so they know exactly what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. So when they go back out on the field, they're going to make sure what they're doing right or what they're doing wrong, they continue to do right, or they work on what they're doing wrong. And the parents, I've had probably at least 50 parents come up to me this weekend and say, the cost of the camp was worth alone us coming to all these seminars, learning about what the recruiting process was. For these kids in 7th or 8th grade, you're never starting too early.
It's a great investment into your son's future of football. They learn so much. They have fantastic instructors out here, so much knowledge. They inspire the boys. It's just well worth money.
It was well organized. I came in here with no expectations. It was well run. Things were on time. I thought the coaching was phenomenal.
I had a lot of fun.
We watch 8th graders being offered now all across the country, and so the quicker these parents can learn about the process and what it takes to be a high school football player, what it takes to play Division I, Division II, Division III, the easier it's going to be when they get to be a sophomore and junior. And that's what we're here to do, is really educate the parent as well as the athlete and get them the greatest football coaching they've ever got. Football University, by professional, by invite, by position only.